Whether starting a garden from scratch or redesigning an existing garden, proper planning will ensure successful harmony in a garden. Hello Tanya, hopefully you can help us. What are some of the things we need to consider when planning a garden?
Andrew, one of the most important parts of your garden in planning is deciding on your theme. Your theme is going to decide the look of your garden and the feel of your garden. But remember, the theme in the front of your garden could be different to the back. And that's what we call the garden rooms. And that's where you can really get creative and start playing with your garden and really letting your creative spirit come out. Don't be kind of fast and steadfast in your rules that the front garden and the back garden all have to be the same. This is where you can work and throw around things. Themes can either be formal or informal. So let's have a look at what the formal themes are. Formal gardens are created by using geometric patterns and mathematical precision. This is where you get the tape measure out and you are going to be measuring to be entirely specific. Plants are arranged, molded, clipped and trimmed into rigid guidelines which draw the attention to the form. And this is really important because it's the form that gives the formality and the repetition that gives the formality. So they could either be in pyramids, in boxes, in balls or in lollipops. But at the end of the day, that is what gives us the idea of a formal garden. And that's pretty logical. Informal gardens are where we lean towards more of the natural landscapes, where things are a bit more chaotic. There still might be a rhythm, but by nature of design, we work to improve on those arrangements. So it's a grouping of 3s, 5s or 7s, sporadically, yet with repetition. Simply what we're removing out of this equation is the geometric lines. Andrew, if you're still a bit confused about garden themes, here are a couple of ideas of some gardens that we've taken pictures of in the past. These will give you a clear indication of whether it's a formal garden or an informal garden with the themes that support it. And remember, if you're stuck and you're looking for inspiration, get hold of some magazines, page through them, visit people's gardens. It's a great way, steal with your eyes, and the inspiration is sure to start flowing. English country gardens are generally very informal. They have some good trees in the garden, which is used as the foundation, and that helps hold the whole design together. But in it, it's very flowing, it's soft with contrasting textures, lots of perennial plants and annuals thrown in for a bit of colour and variety. They are incredibly popular and certainly have stood the test of time from hundreds of years ago and still today are proving as popular. Japanese gardens really are something not for the faint-hearted. Japanese garden design experts incorporating miniature versions of natural landscapes into a garden. Symbolism plays a huge role in it. Raked sand resembling the sea, rocks for durability, water for tranquility, and so on. The features outside the garden boundary are also borrowed to become part of the garden design. So it could be a beautiful rolling hill or a gorgeous tree that's been pruned and clipped to form an extension of the garden. Remember, in today, certainly in South African gardens, Japanese gardens are not really built more for their symbolism, but more for our entertainment and joy visually. The minimalist garden is an interesting one and certainly has become very, very popular. And we can also link that very closely to a low maintenance garden. And if this is your goal, choose your plants carefully. Use ground covers with generous amounts of mulch instead of lawn and make use of hard landscaping features like walls, pathways and patio surfaces which require less maintenance than plants. A few striking plants will enhance the design, and a minimalist design focuses on getting more with less work. So look at hard, tough plants that are water-wise and generally have more texture in their foliage rather than in their flowers. Indigenous gardens are hugely popular, and there really has been a major surge of folks getting involved in the indigenous plants and especially even looking for endemic plants. It's important that you follow the same design principles and choose your plants carefully, whether it's sun or shade. And just because it says that it's indigenous doesn't mean that it needs no water. It's the same principles that we've got to follow. Make sure that you combine your drought-tolerant plants together as well as plants that might require more water. And here you can play around with them and find plants that are endemic. In this way, you take it one step further to improving your environment and your surrounds. Succulent gardening has become hugely popular, and creating this desert landscape in a suburban garden can be loads of fun. But it really is important that you try at all times to emulate the natural landscape. You, however, are the master of the garden, and a few themes that will give you the variety of forms and textures available as the world of succulents will, because there are huge varieties of different plants with smaller leaves up to ones with larger leaves that almost go as the size of elephants' ears. Succulents are great for the garden because they're water-wise, they're weather-tolerant, have colourful textures not only in their flowers but in their leaves. They're low maintenance once established and really easy to grow. They can grow from cuttings, and they make ideal modern lifestyle plants where time is of the essence, and many young folk don't have a lot of time in their gardens, so planting up succulent gardening is brilliant. Tropical gardens are great for those areas, and certainly around our country, that can tolerate not having any frost. And that's important as a basic rule for tropical gardens. They need plenty of water, a rich soil, humid conditions in order to thrive. The ideal theme for the subtropical region of our country. Choose your plants carefully if you are going to be trying this in severe frost areas. It doesn't mean to say that you cannot have a tropical garden, yet your range of plants is going to be severely limited. The leaves of tropical plants are typically larger than other plants and have adapted to periods of drought. They're lush, leafy plants with contrast perfectly with specimen plants such as orchids with their spectacular spray of flowers. Another exciting theme that has been well used around South Africa are Mediterranean gardens. A Mediterranean-style garden would be the garden of the sun. The elements could include patio, a grape-covered arbor, a trickling fountain, statue, and plenty of sun-loving plants such as olives and citrus trees, lavender, rosemary, or bougainvilleas. Grey foliage, waxy or hairy leaves are ideal for this type of climate. The garden design would do well in a winter rainfall area of our country, but that's not to say that you can't try it in other areas. You might just need to choose your plants specifically and alternate maybe with large uses of gravel and pebbles, which will just enhance the feel of the Mediterranean theme. So there we go, Andrew. You see, there are many themes that you can choose from. But what's most important is that you've got to stick to one in one part of your garden. If you don't, you can end up a bit with a licorice all-sort garden. And at the end of the day, we all want a bit of direction, and we want to feel the theme as you walk into the garden. Let it shout at you, find the right plants, and of course, speak to the guys at Builders, because they've got all the right advice.
Tanya, thank you so much for your help. You've taught us so much about themed gardens. We really appreciate it. Remember, go down and see the guys at Builders. They've got everything that you need so that you can design your own theme for your garden.